Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, you read the title, you know exactly what it is that I'm reviewing, and as I teased in the last review video, I teased/mentioned, and I'm sure some of you guys knew what it was that I was going to review next, and yeah, thus you're watching it, and you know exactly what I'm reviewing. That's right. I am reviewing the first Pitch Perfect movie. Yes, Pitch Perfect. The first one. I gotta say, I'll be completely honest, as I always am with, reviewing movies, etc. I thought Pitch Perfect, the first one, was pretty good. In fact, I think, because, yeah, from what I can tell, the first Pitch Perfect film did pretty good, and that's good to see. Coming straight from Universal Pictures / Studios, and yeah, I just don't know where to start off. And before I read the description / the story, all I can say is I think that what this movie had to offer was pretty good. These group of girls doing their very best to, win at this, being a a cappella singing group, and, at first, it's not working out for any of them. Some of them, in fact, a new member that they have, when they bring in new members and some very interesting members, and one of them, who's one of the main characters, yeah. But of course, as the film proceeds, and at the end, things look pretty good, and as these characters evolve, and some of them become much better people. Well, I mean, that goes for all of them, so, Okay, but yes, now, and as always, read the description / the story. College student Becca knows she does not want to be part of a Silicon, if I'm saying that one word right, but that's exactly where she finds herself after arriving at her new school, thrust in among mean gals, nice gals, and just plain weird gals. Becca finds that the only thing they have in common is how well they sing together. She takes the women of the group out of their comfort zone of traditional arrangements and into a world of amazing harmonic combinations in a fight to the top of college music competitions. So our singing gal group, they call themselves the Bellas, two of the main members of the singing gal group called the Bellas, Chloe, played by Brittany Snow, and Aubrey, played by Anna Camp. The movie opens where, we see the group of Bellas, and, seeing Chloe and Aubrey. It doesn't go pretty well for them, and unfortunately they don't make it, and winning and so on. Especially, for Aubrey, because at one point during, their performance, she uncontrollably vomits. Oh my gosh, that was pretty funny, and that's the thing, because, this movie has a lot of laughs, and definitely I got a few chuckles here and there, so yeah. And we also have, these two, champion hosts. Yeah, that's the best way to describe. Gail, played by Elizabeth Banks, and John, played by John Michael Higgins. Yeah. So they are these two champion hosts, and the chemistry between the two is hilarious. It's like they sometimes just don't get along, but sometimes they do. And 4 months later, after what happened at the start of the film, all that's left of, the Bellas is just, Chloe and Aubrey. And we have one of our other main characters, Becca, played by Anna Kendrick. She's this teenager who basically, one thing about her throughout this film is that she just pushes people away who care for her so much. That's what she's like throughout most of this film. And yeah, she arrives at her new school which being the Bard. It's the Barden University, yeah, and at the Barden University, her father actually works there. I think is like a teacher, I want to say, yeah, Becca's roommate was pretty funny, even though that there wasn't really that much of her, and she didn't become a part of the Bellas. I mean, I was kind of thinking at first, at one moment, like, oh, maybe she might join the singing group of gals, but no, she never does. And she doesn't really interact with Becca that much, and just avoids hers, that kind of personality. Kimmy Jin, played by Jenny John, if I'm saying her full name right, I hope so. And Becca's father being named Dr. Mitchell, and he was played by John Benjamin Hickey. Yeah, I do recognize him, and I almost forgot that he was in one of the Transformers movies, and he was in Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah, so he was in that Transformers film. So, again, he is Becca's father, and we find out more from Becca that, her parents are divorced, and she has a stepmother. Those details, and them being mentioned in the film, and of course I just had to mention it. Yeah, and basically Becca, she wants to become a DJ, and while she's at the university, she applies a job, basically just stacking CDs. That's it. At one point, because, and at universities, there would be, like, booths, you know what I'm saying? And, we see Aubrey and Chloe advertising and trying to get new group of girls to join in the Bellas. And one of them does join in, and one of them being Fat Amy. And that's literally that's the name of the character and what she's credited. Fat Amy, played by Rebel Wilson. So she joins in and signs up for the Bellas, and she can sing very well. Even when, Becca, she's there, and, she, sees a booth for, DJ stuff and so on. And, even, Chloe and Aubrey, they're, spying and trying to look at some girls that could fit in with the Bellas. And they happen to see and notice Becca, and they convince her and they get her attention to join the Bellas. And at first, Becca doesn't join in. She's not interested at first. Also, with the other group of girls that join in, the Bellas, there's Stacy, played by Alexis Knapp. Yeah, the K is silent, I believe. There's Cynthia Rose, played by Esther Dean. I think, I got that right. Lily, played by Hannah May Lee. And it's the yes, because, as always, I have the tablet and IMDb. Hannah May Lee's character, oh my gosh, she was pretty funny. Again, just these group of girls who are now part of, the a cappella singing group, the Bellas, each of their personalities, they're really good and hilarious, especially for Lily, this Asian girl who can, when she talks, she's quietly talking, and sometimes they have a hard time trying to hear what she's saying, and sometimes Lily would say a few bizarre things, and that's the best I can say. Especially one thing that she says, which I'm gonna get to very later on. And another a cappella singing group, competing against the Bellas. They're called the Treblemakers. There's an E instead of, say, an O and U, And a few of those members of the Treblemakers, there's, say, Bumper, that's literally what his name is. Bumper, played by Adam Devine. There's also, Donald, played by Udakrish Abdukar, if I'm saying the last name right. And there's also Jessie, played by Skylar Ashton. And it turns out, because Becca and Jesse knew each other. I'm not sure, because I don't think, no, the movie doesn't establish, like, how they know each other. My guess is probably, they were boyfriend and girlfriend before, but then they broke up, or just something. I mean, Jesse, like, really likes Becca, but Becca, being Becca at first, just avoiding and wants nothing to do with Jesse. In fact, even, like, Jesse mentioned something about driving, I believe, her and her dad in a taxi cab. So, yeah, Jesse mentions that. And Jesse being a part of the Troublemakers. And throughout this film, because Jesse trying to make an impression on Becca, and also, they happen to both work stacking CDs. And again, that's all they do, just stacking CDs. And the chemistry between Becca and Jesse, even at times, Becca is slowly but surely just a hair. Like, falling in love, I guess, with Jesse and just really just, like, coming out, like, if you get what I'm saying, yeah. I think I can tell when watching the movie, and I'm sure any of you who have seen the first Pitch Perfect film would have noticed that too. And Becca, at one point, took a shower in the university shower room, and she was singing, and it just so happens that Chloe happened to be there and have, heard her singing, and she really convinces and encourages Becca to come to audition. And when it comes to the auditions, each auditioner's singing, and sure enough, most of them become a part of the a cappella singing group, those joining the Bellas and the Troublemakers. And it was pretty funny, like, there was, like, a ceremony, like, pulling a sack off of their heads, and there were candle lights. That was pretty funny. Also, with Jesse, because Jesse does become is a part of the Troublemakers, and, as I mentioned, his roommate, because, yeah, I mentioned Becca's roommate. For Jesse's roommate, he is roommates with a nerd, and he's also a magician, Benji, played by Ben Platt. Yeah, like Benji was funny, and he had his funny moments. Like, you can tell because how much of a huge nerd he is, because he's into Star Wars. He's got so many Star Wars stuff on one side of the room that he's sharing with Jesse, and again, he's a pretty good magician, and besides, like, he's doing some pretty good magic tricks at times, like pulling out, like, a tiny little, like, baby animal. Was it a hamster or gerbil? I can't remember. And it was pretty funny, like, Jesse asking, like, how long did you have that in there? And Benji said something like, for quite a while, or however he said it, but it was pretty funny. So again, all of them becoming members of these a cappella singing groups. And by the way, not to say that I didn't find them, I didn't, when they said these puns, I wasn't like going, oh my gosh. There are at times, not a lot, but just a couple of a cappella puns, like, you should know what I'm talking about. I didn't think they were that bad. Like I said, I wasn't going, no, that's not what I did when watching the movie. I think, yeah, I did laugh at a couple, but, I mean, sometimes, like, puns, like, and what the word a cappella goes with a different word, they can sometimes work and, could make sense. So to speed things up a little, the Bellas, like, they're trying their very best to, be in training and, vocalizing and so on, and with 3 songs they have to sing and so on, and the same goes for the Troublemakers, and the Troublemakers at times being complete, pardon my French, dicks at the Bellas. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know, because sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't. Also, like, Aubrey, a couple of times, like, she's not really fond of Becca's personality and attitude. Even with Becca, like, to mention more about her roommate, because, yeah, again, throughout most of the film, Becca just not able to make any contact with Kimmy Jin, and especially more with Becca and Jess because, you know, Jess, they're trying to make, make a move on Becca and trying to make her like him and so on. Even he at one point brought Becca a list of movies, which were Rocky, E.T., Jaws, Star Wars, The Breakfast Club, and The Breakfast Club being one of those movies that he brought to Becca. Very important movie that for Becca, basically. The funny moments in this movie, because, again, with just them trying to audition, and more with Lily and how nobody can understand and hear what she's saying because how quiet she's talking. Yeah, but even sometimes she, tries to speak up a bit loudly. So, it's hilarious, yeah. And, oh, yeah, and especially, Fat Amy, detected that one of the members of the Bellas is probably a lesbian, and pretty much she cites on Cynthia, and yeah, pretty much Cynthia is a lesbian. So yeah, there's a moment early on in the film where Becca talks with her dad, and she'd like to possibly move to LA, and at first her dad tells her that if she officially decides to move, then he'll gladly help his daughter get to LA and so on, and try to do DJ stuff and so on. And with them continuing on, trying to train and singing and the vocals. At one point, it turns out that Chloe has nodes. This diagnosed condition or whatever, kind of affecting her vocals and such, and having trouble singing at a certain note, I want to say. So she has that, poor girl. And then there's we have this sequence called the Riff Off, and yeah, basically because all these a cappella singing groups come together one evening, and basically a singing challenge, and the challenge is they have to each of them sing any 80s songs. Yeah, so we have that, and again, just things just not looking too good for Becca, and with Aubrey and how she feels over Becca and so on. Even at a certain point when because they're actually doing a competition. It's not the main competition. It's one of those competitions and leading up to the final one. So the acapellas singing, the acapella singing groups, etc. One of them that went on before the Troublemakers and the Bellas. This a cappella group called the Sockapellas. They literally had sock puppets. I mean, it's their singing group, and they can do whatever the heck they want to do. I mean, who says that you can't have puppets singing? You know what I'm saying. But it is goofy. So yeah, Sockapellas. That's kind of a pun, I guess you could say. And it does fit well. Sock. Appellas, so and then the Bellas go on next, and then the Troublemakers, and or it's the other way around, but either way, when the Bellas go on, Becca at one point, because Aubrey, because another thing about Aubrey, she's just a literal control freak, I want to say, just being in charge of everything, and even like how at times Aubrey has treated Chloe. So yeah, so they go on, and what happens next is Becca kind of like improvises, with a note, and doesn't go according to plan with all the other group of girls, part of the Bellas, and things get a little bit out of hand between Becca and Aubrey. Well, even when, like, say, at one point they won second place, the Sacapellas, they won third place, the Bellas won second place, and the Troublemakers won first place. There's, like, kind of like a heated, like, fight going on outside, like, conference room or whatever the heck that room's called, and there's these group of singers who graduated a couple of years ago. They're called the Clefs. Clef number 1 being played by Joe Lo Drugillo, if I'm saying his last name right. I know him. Yeah, I've seen him before in a bunch of films and so on. He's one of those actors that's kind of in a lot, don't you think? So yeah, he's Clef number 1. Clef number 2, Harmar's played by Harmar Superstar. Okay, that's an interesting name. And Clef number 3, played by Jason Jones. Clef number 4, played by Donald Fashion, however his last name is pronounced. Again, you know me sometimes. For some stupid reason, the Clefs want to start a fight with the Troublemakers, and even like they're not taking this really seriously. They're just being funny. Like they're telling them like, you can hit me here, something like that. Even Clef number 1, just, oh my gosh. And a few of the members of the Bellas do join in. Most notably, Fat Amy joining in, and yeah, because Clef number 1 was trying to get Jess into the fight as well, trying to convince Jess to fight him and punch him and so on. Even Becca, she came in Jess's defense, and by punching Clef number 1, and then Fat Amy kicked Clef number 1 right in the balls. Ooh, and then like Fat Amy just taking the trophy that they won in second place and gonna like ram it into his butt, and Clef number 1 was encouraging it. Oh my gosh, dude, do you not care? Well, he doesn't, apparently. And even like Becca was stopping Fat Amy, but then the trophy slipped out of their hands, and it crashed through one of the doors, and well, that got Becca into jail at one point, but Jess and as well as Becca's father got her out, most notably Jess. And, well, Becca's father is not happy with what just happened, and he's no longer going to help Becca get to LA. And Becca just, being pissed off at Jess and, just telling Jess to just back off, like she doesn't want him to help her and so on. And again, like I said, Becca throughout most of the film just pushing those who care for her away. So yeah, like I said, her being like that throughout most of the film until at a certain point she does change her ways and of course becomes a better person / girl. And at Becca's college room, all of the Bella members are there, because they feel sorry for what happened to her. And that's when Becca, at that point, like, starts to recommend some ideas for their singing group. And Aubrey, like I said about Aubrey, just not liking this and not liking her personality and so on. And like I said, like, when at one point in a performance that they do, Becca improvised a note that, she wasn't sticking with the notes that all of the girls were singing to. And yeah, and when that happens, and to speed things up some more, it causes a rift between Becca and the Bellas. Becca leaves the group, and she still wants just to not do anything with her and so on. And for a little while, because all of the Bella members go their separate ways for a little while, until they are given a second chance, I want to say, to continue doing the finals and this main competition. Even Becca got information about this from Chloe. And so, they're all reunited. Even when, say, Becca, because, as I mentioned, The Breakfast Club, Becca and Jess, because a little bit early on, they watched a little bit of The Breakfast Club. Like, they're watching the ending to The Breakfast Club where, that last famous shot, Bender throwing his fist in the air. Yeah, and when Becca is watching it by herself, and with that ending, she actually starts to get emotional. And, she starts to feel really bad how she treated Jess. And even when Becca went to apologize to Jess and trying to talk to him, well, he just wasn't having any of it. He wasn't. He was done. And another funny moment from Benji, because Benji popping out of the, magic box and saying to Jess, "Women." Yeah. And Jess acknowledges that, yeah. And Becca reuniting with the Bellas. And it was, Chloe who texted Becca about this. And Becca came back, and because Aubrey just not pleased with this. Well, even before Becca actually showed up, because Chloe told them that Becca is coming back to, join them and so on. And there's a heated moment between them, even Chloe just putting her foot down at Aubrey of how Aubrey had been treating her. And there's like a cat fight, basically. Well, even when Aubrey was telling them that she can just let it out and basically puking, and that's what happens. And again, a cat fight between Chloe and Aubrey. Lily accidentally got nudged, and she fell on her back in the puke. And then, how weird Lily is. She just does a snow angel at the puke. Oh my gosh. And Fat Amy joining in the fight. That was pretty funny. And sure enough, Becca finally showing up. And also, Stacy, I think at one point was trying to stop the fight, and Cynthia was trying to protect Stacy. And yeah, it shows, because Cynthia being a lesbian and, kind of trying to hit on some of the girls like Stacy and Fat Amy. Yeah, because with Fat Amy, there was one moment where the Bellas, they're on their very own private bus, and Fat Amy being the driver, and at one point, they're stopping to get gas, and just so happens the Troublemakers in their very own private bus just happen to be passing by them. They notice Fat Amy is out there, and oh my gosh, because Bumper just throwing, I think it was a burrito at Fat Amy, and it did hit her, and Cynthia just trying to attend to Fat Amy, because Fat Amy just falling down to the ground, and at one point Cynthia was going to give Fat Amy mouth to mouth. That was pretty funny. And when they get back on the road, Fat Amy forgot to fill up the bus with gas after what happened. So, oh my gosh. And eventually the Troublemakers, they lend the Bellas a ride, and, they're making their way to one of the competitions. Like I said, some competitions that they're doing leading up to the final results and so on. Also, can't forget to mention the other members of the Bellas. There was Jessica, played by Kelly Jackal, if I'm saying that right. And there was Denise, played by Winitha Wallemsley, if I'm saying that right. Ashley, played by Shelley Renger, and Mary Ellis, played by Caroline Formai. I think that sounds about right. And Corey, played by Nicole Lovensey. If I'm saying that right too. Yeah, so coming back to, when Becca returned, and, especially because, Becca, like, saying that, she'll stay if Aubrey, wants her to stay and so on. And all the other Bella members just waiting to see what Aubrey says. Even, yeah, because I can't forget to mention this. The members of the Bellas, they all felt that it just wasn't gonna be the same without Becca. Yeah, because at that point, they all started to really like Becca and what she was doing, for this a cappella singing group. And even Becca just, slowly but surely just, like, slowly leaving and taking a chair. And that's another thing, because one member who temporarily became a part of the Bellas got disqualified. And Aubrey had had that girl take a chair with her. And so Becca was doing the same thing, and Aubrey finally comes to her senses and, asks Becca to stay and so on. And Becca, because she was dragging the chair with her, she's like, oh, thank you, like, that would have been embarrassing. And then there's a pretty good moment where all of the members of the Bellas, gather around and talk about their life and, the problems that they've been having, like, Fat Amy, she reveals her real name. I think it's, Fat Patricia. Yeah, that's her actual name. And Lily, because how quiet she is, she mentions that she ate her baby brother, in the wombs and so on. That's really disturbing, and I'm not sure if they really catched what she said, because of how quiet she is. Chloe reveals that she got cured and, she had the nodes taken out of her. And, the reason being, it's very sad for her because, with her taking the nodes out, because, a certain note that she could not hit, yeah. And Becca, like, what she has to say about herself, and Cynthia explaining that, because she's a gambler and she had, like, gambling troubles and so on, and she broke up with her girlfriend because of gambling and so on, and Fat Amy just like, oop, like, there it is, like, yeah. Just, yeah, all of them just coming out and talking about what, like, their lives have been like and so on, and things start to look pretty good for the Bellas, and now Becca is now the leader and in charge of this a cappella singing group. And even, like, Aubrey had this, it was harmonica, that thing that, to start up the singing, like, passed it on to Becca, but it slipped out of her hands and, like, went straight for the puke. Aubrey's puke. That was pretty funny. And then there's a moment where, they all get together one evening outside, and Becca, now in charge, has them one by one singing, harmony and with, the notes, singing a Bruno Mars song. And it was a pretty good moment. And after they practiced singing, and it was looking good for all of them, Lily finally spoke up and, like, was able to talk normal and not quietly talk. And for Aubrey, there was a note that she did, because where they all put their hands together, and there was a note that Aubrey did, like that deep note that, like, she apparently now has that deep note. And, well, obviously this has to do with the nodes being taken out of her. But you know what? Her having that note, that deep note, that, hey, that's good for her, and what would come next for them. And it all comes down to the International Championship of Collegiate a cappella. Yeah. Like, full-time championship, like the final championship competition and so on, is now happening. All of the a cappella singing groups are now there, and because from, of course, the Bellas and the Troublemakers. Yeah. And, of course, the two funny hosts, like, they're of course, there, and still, like, the chemistry between the two of them, just hilarious. Even Becca's dad, and I believe, was it her stepmother who was there, or was it her actual biological mother? They never explain it, but we never see any, like, final scenes between Becca and her dad. You know, even, like, speaking of her dad, because, like, she got help and advice from her dad, even when, you know, this was after Becca just had trouble trying to, you know, make amends with Jess. Yeah. So, you know, she went to her dad for help and so on. So yeah, her dad is there, and either it's her stepmother or biological mother. I don't know who it is. And if you guys know, let me know in the comment section. So the Troublemakers, they go on first, and this time they have a new member, because a little bit early on, Bumper left the group because he got, like, a gig of, like, being a backup singer for someone big, and yeah, he bailed the Trebles, and now the new member that they have is Benji. Yeah, good for Benji, because Jess went to Benji, you know, telling him that now's his chance and, you know, perfect opportunity for him to join the Troublemakers, but he tells Benji not to be weird. Benji's asking, what weird? And a pigeon lands on his shoulder, and he's like, oh, that weird. Like, he gets it now. And Benji does pretty well, being a part of the Troublemakers and singing. He's got a good singing voice, and bringing up, like, magic and in you know, what they're singing, and yeah, pretty well done. So once they're finished, now it comes down to the Bellas, and boy oh boy, the Bellas kill it. Like, they basically are really, they got it now. They've succeeded, and now they're killing it. They're really successful on stage, singing, and of course with Becca being the lead and singing, and especially, like, certain lyrics that she sings, and she's looking directly at Jess. Like, you know, I think, like, yeah, in a way, it's like her apologizing to Jess and so on, and, you know, he, of course, does accept her apology. You can tell by the look on his face. He's having a good time, and he even, at one point, when they finished singing, like, he raised his fist up like Bender in The Breakfast Club, yeah. And even, like, we can hear Aubrey a couple of times, like, with the low note, like, the deep note, I should say, yeah. Again, just the Bellas just killing it on stage, and they succeed. And of course, yeah, they would become the winners, yeah. And, you know, that's where, because when they get off stage and go back to their seats, Becca grabs Jess, and of course they finally kiss, and now they're officially a happy couple. Yeah, knew it was coming. Like, you knew that something like this was coming, and it finally happened. And the last scene, well, the Bellas now being the winners, and now they get to be in charge of the auditions and what the auditioners get to sing and so on. And yeah, that was a nice way to end the film. And during the end credits, like, and before the rest of the credits roll, we actually get an outtake. And this was when Aubrey revealed to the Bellas that she has nodes. And Fat Amy, and of course Rebel Wilson being Rebel Wilson, said something funny to Aubrey, you know, God punished you because you're a ginger. Oh, Rebel Wilson, yeah, but it was still funny. Yeah, it was funny. Pitch Perfect, and that being the first Pitch Perfect film. Again, I think it was pretty good. The storytelling was good, the cast of characters, the funny moments, and the emotional moments in Pitch Perfect, I think were pretty well done. And, you know, how it seemed like throughout most of this film, like, things were not looking pretty good for our cast of characters in this film. But sure enough, At a certain point, things were looking good, and, you know, this film had a pretty good happy ending for sure. Yeah, again, I really enjoyed the first Pitch Perfect film, and yeah, just what the film had to offer. And, you know, and the songs that they all sang, you know, like from 80s songs, Bruno Mars, you know, I could go on. And I'm giving the first Pitch Perfect film, yeah, it's on my mind, what the heck, 8 out of 10 stars. Yes, 8 out of 10 stars for the first Pitch Perfect film. And what about you guys? What did you think of the first Pitch Perfect film itself, and are you into the Pitch Perfect franchise? And what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the first Pitch Perfect film. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. And stay tuned, because the next film I'm going to be reviewing is another film that comes straight from Universal Pictures, but also Illumination. And to best describe it, well, let's just say 2 Italian plumbers finally got a movie of theirs that's animated. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Stay tuned for that. Take care, and until I review Pitch Perfect 2, peace out.